we caught it in the act. Speedo says 40, but we're going about 60. If I hit the gas pedal, it just bucks and shakes. Back off, and just barely tip into it. Drives just fine. Okay, I figured out if you step on the gas pedal just a little bit too much, it goes into fuel cut. So that's why it has no throttle response. Alright guys, got a weird one here. This is my aunt's car. Aunt, whatever you say. It's a 2003 Honda Element, and it's got some kind of a ghost in it. We've been trying to catch it for, I don't know, 3-4 months now. So it the dash instruments and lights go crazy, and then also she has problems where if she steps on the gas pedal, it just falls on its face, and then it snaps out of it and it's fine again. But check this out. I just pulled up to the door, went to turn the key off, and oh, now it's working. Okay, but you see how you can still kind of see the check engine light glowing there? A minute ago, that was just flashing back and forth, and I could hear a relay down underneath of the glove box, clicking off and on, off and on, off and on. Okay, so the engine's running now, but the tach still shows 0. The brake warning light is on. So if we shut it down, there it is. Is that fun or what? Yeah. Max, thoughts? Is it a rodent? It very well could be, Pop. Better give it a thorough inspection. Come on, baby. Okay. That's the offending relay. I don't know what that does. Guess we need to figure that out. I hear something. What the heck is that? I'm afraid to move it though, because it's currently broken, which is just what I want. And if I move it, what the heck is that? There's a chance that it'll fix itself. Alright, I put the relay back in, but now we've got a new problem. I don't want to start. So that's fun. I don't hear the fuel pump running. Alright. Well, now it's out. I start this guy up, which it doesn't want to do this time. Now it does. No, it didn't do it that time. Now it's fixed. If it would just break, we could fix it. There it is right there. So according to this, green with a yellow, that one at the bottom, should be grounded by the PCM. This one should be, okay, So that means that this one and this one, yeah, so this relay is on all the time, right? Okay. So that means the brown relay is closed right now, even though the ignition is off. Man, that's freaking weird. So both those relays are controlled by the PCM. One is for power to a bunch of stuff, injectors, the PCM itself, and the other one is for the fuel pump. The fuel pump one's the one that's clicking on and off, but it's controlled kind of daisy chained by the other one, which is controlled by the PCM. Anyway, looks like the PCM only has one ground point, and it's this G101, and it's in the middle, or on the edge of the intake. So we're gonna pop this cover up. Does that ground look suspicious at all? All right, the relay is doing its thing. Test light hooked to battery positive. Good ground there. Good ground there. Good ground there. Good, 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 good. Okay. Not the problem. Check this out. So test light hooked to ground. If I touch the control side of the PGM relay 1, now if I touch the control side of PGM relay 2, I can make it turn off. On, off, on, off. Is that fun or what? So it's got to be a problem with the PCM, right? There's nothing else. It's got to be a bad ground, or just the PCM itself. I mean, what other options are there? There's PGM relay 1. It's controlled by the PCM. There's PGM relay 2. It's controlled by the PCM. There is no other way. Alright, check this out. Starts just fine. Shut it down. Oh, now it's fixed. Alright, well, you know what I did? So my aunt told me she's had problems with the gauges going out before, and she said if you just whack the dashboard, they'll come back. Well, I had the relay clicking over here, and I just whacked the dashboard, and the clicking went away. So I'm wondering if the cluster, or the connection to the cluster, is the whole problem here. I really don't know. Wish I could get it to do that again. Nope, now it's fixed. I love stuff like this. I couldn't find anything in service data that even mentions this issue. There are no bulletins or even any clues to point us in the right direction. I did do some reading though on various forums, and people are saying that this instrument cluster, especially the connectors, this one here, are the source of a lot of these similar problems. The relay clicking, the car not wanting to start, the weird green immobilizer key light coming on, the various gauges not working. I read some things about people putting different shims under these connectors, and yeah, anyway, I went ahead and pulled the cluster out. There's nothing to it. Popped the bezel off, 4 screws, unhooked the connectors. It is over here on the bench. I've got it pretty much torn down already, but I found a couple of interesting clues. See that piece of, looks like wadded up duct tape under that connector? Yeah, somebody's been here before. And I don't have a macro lens for this camera, but I will try to show you what I found. All right, guys, that's as far as I can zoom. Those are the pins for the connector where they come through the board and they're soldered on the backside. That one, and it looks like maybe even that one. The solder joints have failed. So, yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just reflow all those pins, and there's a good chance that'll fix this problem. At least it'll fix the cluster part of it. Hopefully that's the whole kit and caboodle. And the good news is this is just a simple single-sided circuit board. Nothing to it. But this is well, I don't know about Hondas specifically. I don't work on a lot of Hondas, but this is a common problem on clusters from a lot of different manufacturers. Ford, I know, especially like on the Super Duty trucks. Pretty notorious for this problem. A lot of manufacturers had problems around this time too with the lead-free solder. They hadn't figured out how to really do that reliably. Led to all kinds of problems. Let's make sure we don't have any bridged pins here. Looks good. I hope it goes without saying that this is not a soldering or instrument cluster repair tutorial. Send it out to a professional. And no, you cannot send it here. I will not repair them for you. This is my aunt's car, so she is less likely to sue me than the average customer. Normally I would not do this. Okay. So we gotta peek through the little trap door here and make sure that we got all the pins through that comb for the LCD in the middle there. Looks pretty good. I hope this fixes the problem. I've seen a lot of weird problems happen from instrument cluster problems though. A parasitic draw being a big one. Alternator's not charging. Seen that once before. So before I took it apart, I took a picture of the needles in their most counterclockwise position. So I'm just gonna do my best to get it kind of back where it was. Done. Alright, I've cleared the codes. At least all the ones that would let me clear. So, shut that down for now. Let's go for a drive. So far, so good. Gauges all work. No warning lights on. And before it had all kinds of weird problems. That ABS light was on, and I couldn't communicate with the ABS module to read the codes. The airbag light was on, and then it would go out on its own and come back on. Like I said, it would run okay if you just applied partial throttle, but as soon as you got into the pedal at all, it would go into fuel cut. And I don't know why, it's some kind of limp mode, I guess. And then yeah, it had that code, what is that, P2646 or something for the rocker arm pressure switch, which is to do with the VTEC system, but that was all working normally. Well, so far so good. Oh, check engine light just came on. Alright, we better pull over and see what that's about. Okay, we got the same code again for the rocker arm oil pressure switch circuit low voltage. But what's weird is it set the code without having any problems. It didn't, it didn't buck and shake and do the normal VTEC stuff. I don't know. She told me that switch has been replaced. Well, the whole solenoid valve assembly's been replaced. And we're not out of the woods yet. It just coughed on me. Right there. Fuel cut. Okay, I think I caught it. So the blue is the VTC status and the red is the pressure. It just went off the screen, but there was a pretty good delay there. Maybe, I don't know, a couple of seconds where the switch was on, or sorry, the solenoid was on and the switch was not changing states. Then it turned on the check engine light, which I had cleared, and then now we have this fuel cut thing. So it must be some kind of a limp home mode. I gotta go back and read more about that code. It seems like either the solenoid or the pressure switch is bad, but the problem is I'm pretty sure they've both been replaced. I don't know if you can see it down there. And I'm a little gun shy on these Hondas. Remember, not too long ago we had an Odyssey, and it had a similar problem, and it had no oil pressure. This car has, well, let's just say the oil's pretty low. It's still on the stick, but it's probably over a quart low. I think these only hold about 4 quarts. So I don't know. What they tell you to do in the service data is to take the pressure sensor out and tee it in with a manual pressure gauge, and then watch the gauge and see if you can see on the gauge what you see on the scan tool. I don't have a good way to rig that up. So we're going to do just a regular base engine oil pressure test. And if it has good oil pressure, I think we'll just go ahead and replace that solenoid. All right, we're going to try a new tool. So my normal oil pressure setup is just this gauge, and it has an NPT thread, 1/8 inch. And then you have to find a plug you can take out, usually near the filter base, and then hope you have the right adapters and get it all cobbled together with tape and O-rings and hopes and prayers. This guy here is supposed to be the answer. So it has a bunch of adapters here that allow you to take off the oil filter and then you put this guy in its place, and it essentially just piggybacks onto the oil filter base. And I got a couple adapters here for larger diameter filters. Should work for most stuff. It's probably not going to work for the larger diesel engines. Yeah, let's give it a shot. There's our oil filter. And I have determined that the number 1 adapter is the one we want. So it's going to thread into this cup. Probably shouldn't use my left hand, but we'll get by. There it is. I had to use that smaller adapter. The threads were, the threads didn't come out quite right, so I guess that's how you're supposed to do it. Looks good. We lost a little bit of oil, so we'll have to top it off. There's got to be something wrong here. It should have leaked down by now. I wonder if there's some kind of check valve in that gauge. Stand by. Yeah, sure enough. They put a freaking Schrader valve in there as a check valve. Why would you put that? Why would you want that? Like, why would you want to see the maximum? I mean, I would think most times when you're checking oil pressure, you want to see the minimum. Alright, well, it's out of there now. That's more like it. 25 PSI. That's about where it should be. Oh boy. I've been trying to fit this explanation in between grain trucks, and that's not going to be possible, so we're going to have to tough it out. Unfortunately, Honda doesn't give us a whole lot to go on here. The P2646 code is just kind of a mystery. All I know from the service data is that it tries to engage the VTEC, which means it tries to use engine oil pressure to shift a pin on the rocker arm to change the valve timing. And there's a pressure switch that basically tells the computer that that process is working, and that switch doesn't do what the computer thinks it should do at the time that it thinks it should do it. So it sets the code, the P2646 code. And what I've learned through my independent testing is that when it sets that code, it disables the VTEC, and then it puts the engine into a limp mode where it cuts the fuel above a certain RPM. Anyway, there is a TSB telling us that most of the time replacing the pressure switch will fix the problem. So I visited the Honda dealership this morning and I picked us up an entire solenoid, pressure switch, manifold assembly. Hopefully that'll solve the problem. It has good oil pressure. It basically has double the minimum oil pressure at both of the RPMs that it specs, so I'm not worried about that. Yeah, let's go ahead and throw some parts at it. So the gizmo we want to replace is down yonder, just above the oil filter. So we're going to pull this power steering hose over to the side. Get our oil pressure gauge out of the way. Let me get a strap. Oh, what can we hook it to that won't break? Good. Fail. There. Well, I wanted to show you guys a sweet view of removing this solenoid, but man, I can't even see it myself. She buried down in there. Anyway, unplug that. We'll unplug that. Got the catch pan down below. I'm just going to assume that it's got some 10mm bolts in it. I guess I could look at the new one and see. Looks like a couple 3 bolts through it. And it might be out of bed. There it is. It certainly appears that the entire thing has been replaced. That appears to be pretty new. But new doesn't mean good, especially with aftermarket parts. I have no idea what brand this is. I've never seen one, even aftermarket, that didn't come with a new heat shield. So that's kind of weird. Either way, I'm very suspicious of this guy. Well, here we go. It comes with the gasket, which also has the filter screen. Oh, and I can't see anything. So we're just gonna have to hope we get it in the right spot. Okay. I know that was probably thrilling for you guys to watch. Well, anytime you want to clip in there, that'd be just great with me. There we go. And we'll go ahead and change the oil. While we're here, knew I was going to do that. Don't mind me, folks. My first time changing oil. Okay, let's go for a drive. Fingers crossed we got the problem solved. Well, so far everything looks pretty good. I think we're good. I mean, it would have done it by now. Last time I drove it, it didn't make it maybe 5 minutes before it set the check engine light. Alright, we made it back. We have no lights on the dash. All the gauges are working. And the data looks pretty good here. So the important thing is the middle two. So the VTEC pressure switch and the VTEC solenoid. The switch should go low as soon as the solenoid goes high. You see there's a little blip right there where the solenoid went on but the switch didn't catch it, but that must be short enough that it doesn't trigger the code. So yeah, we're looking good. I guess all we can do is send it home and hope for the best. Not quite sure about this guy. I mean, it works. It just doesn't work quite as well as I hoped. I like the idea of it. It just, the execution isn't quite right. Like this adapter ring, you know, it's almost too big for this application, and I didn't get a very good seal. It was leaking oil pretty much the whole time I had it installed. And then this ring, you know, that won't be big enough for a lot of things I want to use it on. And I thought it was going to be less messy than, you know, tapping a plug, but that certainly is not the case. I mean, there's just oil everywhere when you remove the filter. So So I don't know. I'll put a link in the description. You guys can check it out and form your own opinion. It does work. Also, what is this heresy? I thought all Napa filters were made by Wix. Apparently not. Alright guys, I think we're done with the Honda. Now you're probably feeling a little bit let down, like we didn't beat a dead horse quite as much as we normally do. The problem is there's just no good way to test that VTEC system. At least not a good way I can think of. You know, like I said, it's my aunt's car, so I know where it's going to be. We'll keep an eye on it, but I feel pretty confident that we got it fixed. As far as the crazy electrical stuff, you know, I think, well, obviously we had a big problem there on the cluster. All those pins had broken solder joints, so yeah, it had some weird effects, but I think the fix is relatively simple. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.